Hey, what's up, guys? We're going to do the Dartmouth road test today. So when you do the test, remember that there's no specific route that they might take you on. I'm going to go through most of the common areas that they might take you, but just remember there's no specific route. They can mix it up, take you to different areas on different days depending on the examiner. So what you'll want when you arrive for your test, you want to have proof of insurance in the car, your vehicle permit, your driving school certificate, and your beginner's card. So when the examiner comes out, they'll go through the hand signals with you, and then they'll check the lights of the vehicle, so the headlights, the high beams, the turn signals, and the brake lights. And then they'll start the test. So what you want to do is you're going to put the car in drive. Here I'm turning left, so I throw my left signal light on, do a left shoulder check. So this would be the beginning of the test. So here I've got an all-way stop. So whoever stops first at an all-way stop has the right-of-way. And in this case, I'm going to turn left. So I'll be turning left onto Bedford Drive. Anywhere that you drive on the Dartmouth road test is going to be 50 kilometers an hour. Unless you're on the highway, that would be 80 kilometers an hour. And this part of Bedford Drive is very wide, so it almost looks like it's 3 lanes wide, but it's actually only 1 lane. So I just kind of ride in the middle of the lane just so the cars behind me don't think it's 2 lanes and then try to pass me or something. Now I'm about to go down a steep hill. I'm at 50 kilometers an hour, so I'm just going to rest my foot on the brake pedal. Then if the car does go over the limit, I can just apply the brake right away and bring the speed back down. If you do go over the speed limit on the test, just make sure that you brake right away and bring the speed back down. You won't necessarily get an automatic fail as long as you make that adjustment right away. Now I'm going to exit right, so I got my right signal light on, right shoulder check. And the most important thing here, I'm slowing down gradually to the yield. So I'm just taking my time, no cars are coming. And now I'm on Norm Newman Drive. It's really common on road tests that students go up to yields too fast and then they get an automatic fail. So just remember, anytime you approach a yield sign, just really take your time. You don't necessarily have to stop, but you just want to make sure you take your time and be sure that there's no cars coming that you might have to yield to. Now I'm going to turn left onto Eisner Boulevard. They could get you to turn right here, but basically this is like a loop, so we're just going to do the loop as though we're turning left. So that's an all-way stop. Whoever stops first has the right-of-way. And now we're going to turn right onto Portland Street. So I'm going to stop before this driveway here just so I'm not blocking it in case somebody wants to pull out. Looks like there's enough space up there for me to make it through. And the thing to note here, there's a sign saying that you can't turn right on a red light. So you have to wait for the green arrow. So I right shoulder check. Now I'm on Portland Street, so it's 50 kilometers an hour here. And now I'm going to turn right into Portland Estates. So I do my shoulder check back here. Then I can just focus on the intersection as I approach. And this road is also 1 lane, so I'm just driving in the middle. Now I'm approaching an all-way stop, And I'm going to turn right. And this is Portland Hills Drive. Got a pedestrian coming up kind of fast there on the right, so I'm just going to wait it out. Make sure they get all the way to the sidewalk. Shoulder check, make sure there's no more pedestrians, and then away I go. Now I'm turning right back onto Eisner Boulevard, where that all-way stop was before. Watching this crosswalk a little further back here, just to make sure nobody's approaching. Now I'm back at that four-way stop or all-way stop again on Eisner Boulevard. So I'm going to turn left onto Norm Newman Boulevard. Whoever stops first has the right-of-way, so the car on the right there has the right-of-way. Shoulder check. Now I'm going to turn left back onto Baker Drive. This is a three-way stop. What I try to do on roads like this, where there's a whole bunch of cars parked on the right, I try to ride a little bit closer to the yellow line. Then if there was a car down here trying to pull out of the driveway, they're going to see me a little bit sooner, so it just makes it a bit safer for them and for me. And then access would be on the right there beside Lawton's. So that's where you would go back to finish your test. So now we'll do a different route. So we're on Baker Drive. The speed limit is 50 kilometers an hour. And down here I want to signal right. And then just slowly approach the yield, gradually slowing down. No cars are coming that I might have to yield to. Now we're on Mount Hope Avenue. So here, if the examiner said you're going straight at the lights, you'd want to be in that center lane there. So you'd be behind that reddish or, yeah, that red or orange car there. Signaling right. Nobody to yield to. Now I'm going out to the highway area, so it's 80 kilometers an hour. Right lane's ending, so I just throw my left signal light on. Want to make sure you're right up close to 80 kilometers an hour here when you merge on the highway. So I got my signal light on. Lots of time in the lane. Check my shoulder and go over gradually. So the highway is 80 kilometers an hour. Gonna exit right here down to Portland Street. And I'm gonna turn left onto Portland Street. So when I turn left here, I'm gonna have two lanes over there. So I always wanna turn into the closest lane to me, which is the left lane. And then I would build my speed up and automatically go back to the right lane. The thing to remember is the examiner doesn't tell you that. You just do that automatically every time. So I get my green light, make sure everybody's stopping. So turn left into the closest lane to me. Then I just gradually build my speed up, right signal light on, right shoulder check. And in this case, I'm in the right lane, but now there's another right lane, but that right lane ends a little further down. So you're just going to stay in this lane the whole way through here. If you did happen to accidentally go into that right lane, not a big deal. Just do a lane change once you get past the intersection here, back to the center lane. Sometimes you'll go straight at these lights, so you would just stay in this lane the whole way through. And sometimes they'll get you to turn right into this neighborhood. So we'll go into this neighborhood here and just do a curb park. have a look at it. There's nothing too complicated in here. So here I've got an all-way stop. The easiest way to remember your shoulder checks is anytime your signal light is on, you would shoulder check to the side that you're signaling to. They're recommending 30 for this curve, but that's a yellow sign, so it's just cautionary. So here I'm at 40. That's fine as long as it's a safe speed. Got another all-way stop here, and I'm gonna turn right. And I'll do a curb park up here. So what you wanna do for a curb park is throw your right signal light on, do a right shoulder check, and then what you wanna do is just barely steer the car over. You don't wanna steer too much because then you're gonna be on too much of an angle. So I'm thinking I'm close enough here, checking the side mirror, so I can see that the car is close enough to the curb. Basically, as long as your passenger side wheels are on this little concrete portion beside the asphalt, then you know you're within 15 centimeters. Now I'm gonna put the car in park. Then I would pull up on the emergency brake. And since I'm on a level surface, I would turn all the way to the right, so the wheels would be pointing in toward the curb. The easiest way to remember that is on a road test. The only time that you have to turn to the left is if you're facing uphill. So then the examiner would check it, make sure that the car is within 15 centimeters of the curb, and then they would tell you to head back out. So you would set the car up to drive back out. So you would turn off your emergency brake, make sure you turn the steering wheel back so it's facing straight or slightly left, just so you don't end up driving up on the curb. Put the car down into gear or into drive. Throw your left signal light on. Make sure there's no cars in the driver's side mirror. Double check the shoulder and then head out. And every time that you stop at a stop sign, just make sure that you feel the car slightly kick back. So right there. That way it proves for sure that you stopped. So you don't need it to be a big jolt or anything. You just want to feel a slight little kickback, and then that proves for sure that the car stopped. Same thing here. Gonna stop on the line. Right there. Nobody's coming. So basically when you stop, you want the front of the car at the sign. Or if there's a line, you just generally want the front of the car or the front wheels on the line. Back at the three-way stop, and we're going to turn left. Now we're back at the traffic lights again, and we're going to turn right. So I can turn right on a red light as long as there's not a sign there telling me that I can't. Just have to stop first, check for cars, check for pedestrians, shoulder check, then away I go. If you're coming through this way, once you get to the other side of these lights, you're going to be turning left at the next set of lights. So the lane does kind of sneak up on you in the curve. Thinking this Tesla is going the same way. So you just throw your left signal light on, do a left shoulder check. And whenever you come down to a solid green light like this, just really take your time. Don't feel like you have to rush. No cars going straight, so there's no cars I have to yield to, so then I just shoulder check and do my turn. Now I'm in a school zone. So the way the school zone law works, if there are children outside in the area, you would go down to the school zone speed limit of 30 kilometers an hour. Right now I'm not seeing any children, so I'm just looking around a little bit. You can see this car is signaling to the right. They don't have to signal here because this is Prince Arthur Avenue, and Prince Arthur Avenue continues this way. In this case, there are no students outside in the area, so this driver's ed car doesn't need to be doing 30 kilometers an hour. But it's not like you're going to get much over 30 in this area anyways. But just remember, on a road test, if you're doing 30 in a school zone and there are no children outside and there's no reason to do 30, then you would actually lose points. Now we're still on Prince Arthur Avenue, and we're coming down to another weird intersection like the one back there. And also at this one, you don't need to signal because you're still going to be on Prince Arthur Avenue. But this is a super bizarre intersection. So you wouldn't be going straight over there. You'd be going right here, and you don't need to signal here because this is not a turn. You're following the path of the road. Now we're going to turn left onto Pleasant Street. And what I like to do here is I'll do my stop on the line first, and then I'll turn slightly right just so I'll be able to see past this bush here on the right side. This intersection can be busy sometimes, but don't feel like you have to rush the turn. You always want to take your time. Not that you want to be hesitant, but you just want to make sure that you don't do anything dangerous. So here I'm going to do my stop. Now I'm going to pull out a bit so I can see better on the right side there. And it looks like I'm going to be waiting for a while here. That car is turning left. And Pleasant Street is 50 kilometers an hour. The biggest thing on Pleasant Street is going to be crosswalks. So all I do is watch them a little further back just to see if there's any pedestrians approaching. Then I'd have more of a heads up earlier on if I think I need to stop or not. They could get you to turn left at this set of lights, but there's nothing complicated in there. You would just do a left turn and then it's going to take you to the same area that we're going to here. So here I want to turn left after the crosswalk, so I do my lane change before the crosswalk because a crosswalk is an intersection, so you can't change lanes at the crosswalk. And I'm going to turn left here. So we're turning left back onto Mount Hope Avenue. And the speed limit is still 50 kilometers an hour. If that pedestrian did walk out, I would yield to them even though there's no crosswalk. You always want to yield to pedestrians when they're crossing. Now we're back by the interchange area that's close to Access and Baker Drive. So if you're coming through the interchange area this way, you'll want to be in the center lane. So right now you could call it the right lane, but up here it's the center lane. And we're going to do this route the opposite way too, just so I can show you the same thing if they get you to go the other way and then turn left from the lights over there. So you always go back to the right lane on a road test. That's the default position in driving. But in an interchange area, you need to be in the specific lane for where you're going. So the right lane rule doesn't apply through here because we're going to need to be in this lane so we can turn left a little further down back to Access. Now we want to turn into the furthest left lane down here. And that's because Access is on the left side over here. So we need to make sure we're in this lane so we can make it back to Access. The thing to remember here is the lines aren't painted through the intersection to show you what lane you're in. So you make sure you stay on the left side, and you can also watch this yellow line here on this road. Just make sure you're close to that yellow line, and then you know for sure you're still in the left lane. Now we're going to turn left at the lights back into Access. slowing down gradually, no cars to yield to, no pedestrians in the crosswalk. Then we're turning right at the all-way stop. So if you were finishing your test, you would be turning left where that red car is there on the left side. Now we're going to turn right out of this driveway here. If you did come this way, watch out for that curb there. That's a gigantic pothole. If you were to hit that, you'll bottom your car out on it. So all I'm going to do when I turn out is drive out a bit further before I start steering. This car is turning in. I'm just making sure that they slow down. Now I'm going to drive straight out a bit and then start steering. That way I know the rear wheels are clear of that pothole there by the curb. So here we're exiting right from Baker Drive onto Mount Hope Avenue. No cars to yield to. So in this case, the examiner would say I'm going straight at the lights. So I want to get into the left lane. And that's just because the right lane only goes to the highway. Got a green arrow here, so whenever you have a green arrow, you have the right of way in the direction that the arrow is pointing. Now I'm on Mount Hope Avenue, about to go down a hill. I'm at 49 kilometers an hour, and I've got my foot on the brake just so the car doesn't go over the speed limit. And we're going to turn right down here, so I'm going to do my shoulder check back here. Then I can just focus on the intersection as I approach. Then we're going to turn right at these lights onto Pleasant Street. So the street we're on right now is called Acadia Street. And now we're on Pleasant Street. So we're basically going the opposite way that we did before. So I'm just watching the crosswalks a little further back, just in case there are any pedestrians approaching the crosswalk. Now I'm going to turn right onto Prince Arthur Avenue. The easiest way to spot Prince Arthur Avenue is look for the gold sign on that white building there, the 189 sign. It's a little bit easier to see than the green street sign. Now we're going back through these bizarre intersections. And all you're doing here, you're not going straight, you're following Prince Arthur Avenue over this way. So you don't need to signal there. Here I need to go slightly across the yellow line, so I just have to signal across and then signal back over. 40 kilometers an hour is a good speed on this road, especially where I'm coming up to the blind crest here, so it's hard to see what's there, and I'm going into the school zone. Now I'm just on the brake pedal. I can see there's children down there at the bottom of the hill, so now I'm at 30 kilometers an hour. If I wasn't seeing any children, I would just make sure I'm looking around a bit and checking for them, make sure the crosswalk is clear. Here's another strange intersection. I'm still following Prince Arthur Avenue, so I don't need to signal here. Now the green sign is telling me I'm at the end of the school zone. Looks like we're going to get a green light. Now we're back on Portland Street. So we want to go straight at these lights. So that means we want to go into the right lane. And what you want to do when you're going through these lights, make sure you stay close to this curb on the right side. Just because it's a kind of a strange intersection, it causes a lot of motorists to drift over into the left lane. But just try to stay close to the curb on the right side, and then you know for sure that you're in your lane. Sometimes they'll get you to turn right at the lights back there, but that's super simple. It's just a straightaway all the way back to access. Now we're gonna turn right at these lights and go on to Highway 111, and then we'll go back through that interchange area. So you can turn right on a red light. In this case, I have to yield to the white car because right now they have a flashing green light or possibly an arrow, so that means they have the right of way. So I just make sure there's no cars coming and then I can do my turn. Remember, 40 kilometers an hour, that's a recommended speed. So it's a yellow sign, so it's cautionary. So you don't have to be exactly at 40. What you want to do is just gradually build your speed up for the highway. So I was at 50 back there, now I'm at 60. And out around this area, this is where I want to build up to 80, as close as I can to 80 kilometers an hour. Left signal light's on, I'm at 80 kilometers an hour. Check the mirror in the shoulder. A little bit over 80, so I just let off a bit. Now I want to exit right here. I'm going to throw my signal light on back here, even though the solid line is there, and then just hang out for a bit. Then if there was a car in the right lane looking to merge, it's going to make their merge easier because they can see that I'm exiting, so then they can adjust their speed to slip in behind me or go ahead of me if they need to. And I'm just gradually braking in the curve here. Around 60 kilometers an hour. I wouldn't go any slower than 60 there just because it is a highway. So I drove directly into the left lane here. I didn't have to signal in because I didn't cross broken lines. So if you're going back to access this way, you're always going to be in this left lane. And then when you turn left, you're going to turn into the center lane just because the closest lane to you, the left lane only goes back to the highway. It will make more sense when I show you here. So I make sure that I stay in my lane through the intersection. Now we're back at the intersection by access, and we're going to turn left. So you'll always be in this far left lane here. Here I'm turning left on a green arrow. So with a green arrow, that means you have the right of way in the direction that the arrow is pointing. And if you were going back to access, you would turn left where that blue car is going there. So these parking spaces are the same as the ones at access, so they're the loopy lines. So as you're coming in, you throw your right signal light on, do a right shoulder check. Let's say I want the spot with the tree. All I'm going to do is go 1.5 spaces ahead of it. So I go past this one here, and then halfway through the next one right about there. Put it into reverse, turn all the way to the right, do a 360 check just to make sure there's no other cars or pedestrians around. And as I'm going back, I want to look back the whole time. But if I need to see what's around me or check my mirrors, I can just stop or slow up a little bit and then keep going back and looking back. Then I gotta stop here, check my side mirrors. I'm a little bit close on the left side. So what I'm gonna do is go out and correct it. So I've got 3 chances to correct it if it's the road test. Since I'm a little bit close on the left side and I wanna get rid of some space on the right, I'm just gonna turn slightly right and drive out to center. So I turn slightly right, drive straight for a bit, then I'm gonna turn all the way to the left. Watch this mirror as I go forward. Now the car is centered. And I just check both sides. And back I go. And I would put my emergency brake on, and that would be the test. Thanks for watching.